Hello and welcome to a new one take wrap up. What I do to wrap up my books in the month is I just do one take video because I hate editing to share all the books I read. So in the month of September, I actually had a really good reading month, not necessarily numbers wise, but just in how much I loved these books. I'm gonna go a little bit out of order and start with You Will Get Through This Night by Daniel Howell. I read this book by audiobook and I'm actually already rereading it. I wanted to read it and annotate it. My dogs are already driving me crazy. They really want to be a part of this video. But I listened to this audio. Daniel Howell, if you are not chronically online like I am, he is a comedian, YouTuber, has been for 10-15 years, and I have been watching him on YouTube all that time. And in more recent years, he's really come out talking about mental health and what that means for him and his experience with mental health and depression and everything. And this was a book he wrote with experts in the field, and he shared, you know, his experiences, how he gets through mental illness, how he, you know, works through depression, all of that. And this book is it's a practical guide to mental health, like that is the tagline, and it is just fantastic. Genuinely, whether you are like a fan of Dan beforehand or not, you should read this book. It is so good. I truly deeply enjoyed it. I learned a lot. I'm already reading it again so I can annotate it, so really a big fan. And then the rest of the books that I read is this little stack here. Yeah. So I read the entire Crave series by Tracy Wolff, so I can't get too into every detail without, you know, spoiling it since it's a series, but we're gonna go book by book and chat. So I reread Crave. This is one I had actually read before. I read it back when it came out because I had won it in a giveaway, and I read it back in the day and I liked it, but like just got caught up in other things, didn't end up continuing with the series, not necessarily on purpose, but just didn't get around to it. But I really loved rereading this. It was so fun. Will my camera die? Probably. But I've got new batteries. I wonder if the new batteries are charged. We'll find out. But I really liked this one. This is a series about Grace, and in true YA fashion, her whole family just died, you know, and she has to move across the country. She moves to Alaska to live with her uncle and her cousin at a boarding school, and she's thinking, you know, I gotta get through senior year, I'm gonna graduate, I'm just gonna survive through this. And no one decides to tell her that this is a boarding school for magical creatures. At this boarding school at Katmere Academy, there are dragons, witches, vampires. Is that everyone? Dragons, witches, vampires, and shifters, werewolves. But they all just decide to keep that a secret, so they don't scare her off because, you know, just being all really weird and mysterious is a better option. So for the first like half of this book, she does not know what's going on, but she's having fun. Towards the beginning, she meets Jackson Vega, mysterious bad boy, you know, brooding. She doesn't know it yet, but vampire, and their relationship develops. So as she discovers this magical world and all of this, it's just so fun. Obviously, there's some trauma sprinkled in there, but you know, I just loved this one for the ambiance, for the magic, for everything that you're getting into in this world, and it's just so fun. It's a perfect introduction to the series. Next, we've got Crush. This is the second book. I'm gonna be honest, I remember this one a lot less than the first one. Yes, this one has a trope that I didn't even realize was like a specific trope that I really love, but I don't even know like exactly what to call this, but the trope in which characters can speak to each other in their minds, or like owning they can hear him talking, or like, so like Hudson, in this book, Hudson is like a ghost kind of inside of Grace's head. Whatever that trope is, I need more of it. It's in ACOTAR too, because Feyre and Rhys can like speak to each other in their minds. Whatever the name for that trope is, like telepathy between mates, I want that. Like that trope, need more of it. Or between characters, really. It doesn't even have to be between mates. But this one is fun. At first in this one, when they start working on the games, I was like, are we not more concerned about everything else that's going on? Why are we doing this? But it was fun. I had fun. Flint is a fun character. He starts to develop in this one a little bit. Yeah, I've read these all so quickly back to back. I'm kind of blanking on even what happens in Crush, but oh well. And then there is Covet. This is the third book. This one I do remember deeply and horribly. And I just, okay. This would be a one-take wrap-up if my old camera battery could hold a charge for longer than 5 minutes. That's why I had to order new ones, put the new one in. Anyway, let's keep going. Covet. This one, I honestly don't think I could pick a favorite, but this one is definitely up there. In this one, they go through a lot, and you know, now that I say it, the games might be in this one. The Bloodletter. She's kind of an icon. I can't remember. Yeah. So I think all of the mind stuff where Hudson is in Grace's mind is in this one. And I just adore that. And just the way that she starts to discover what's going on, but not really. Like, she's so clueless in this one, and I love it. And also, though, now knowing what I know from the entire series, I think if I went back and read Crush and Covet, for that matter, it would break my heart. And I'll get to that in a moment. But anyway, Covet. They find themselves in the world's scariest prison. Like, scarier than the place where they keep the monsters in, you know, the DC universe. Like, this whole place is just horrifying night after night. But the conflict that it creates for the characters is just so interesting to read. Horrifying, but interesting. And it gives us the opportunity to introduce two of my favorite characters, and that is Remy and Calder. I adore them so much. Like, I can't even express. And I love all these characters. I love Flint and I love Hudson and Grace. I just literally love everybody. Just assume all the characters. I love even the crazy ones, like the Bloodletter. But the things that are like revealed in this book, but not even like explicitly said, just the emotions that are running high in this one are so good. And then the whole escape sequence, everything that happens, it's just crazy. It's just wild. It's so good. And like her, like, it's like the small details, like her the tattoo scene, I just really loved. The and just like the levity that they can still take, like the jokes that they're still making, and just trying to survive on top of everything is why I think I love this series so much, is that they are able to kind of still joke around sometimes, and I just really love that. So next was Court by Tracy Wolff. I also really loved this one, believe it or not. I actually loved all of these. They were all a 5 out of 5. This one definitely gets dark, and what really surprised me about this one is I was like, how are we doing all of this? How are we making it to the end? Also, didn't even talk about the end of this one. Oh my god, I totally forgot the huge scene that was at the end of this one. I'm pretty sure this is where it is. Because it's not just the escape. Was it? See, I read these all back to back. I'm so, like, mixed up. I don't know if it happens in this one or this one, but there's a huge fight that involves Jackson and some other people that just kills me. It does involve a heart. That yeah. Anyway, that might have happened in this one. I literally, I can't, it's all just one blur in my head. But Court is crazy because the political like stuff that slips into here, like, and it is present in the other books completely. Also the scene at the very end of Crush, I'm just like losing my mind. I'm pretty sure it's at the end of this one, when they're digging a grave in the ground, and the things that Hudson says in that scene, chef's kiss, top tier. Anyway, I have like crave ADHD. I'm just like remembering bits and pieces and couldn't tell you which books they're in. But anyway, I really liked this one because I really loved seeing Grace come into her power. That was the most like significant portion of it for me. I also really loved all the pieces in Ireland. Just loved the setting, loved the vibes. I loved the lighthouse, and I wish there was more time in the other books to return to that. And if, dare I say when, please, Tracy, when there are books in this world in the future, I would really love to return to that lighthouse. I just feel like there's a peace and serenity and just like happiness there that we can achieve, even momentarily. But also having the information I learned in Charm in my head and then reading this is actually, it makes it depressing at the same time. So anyway, I loved seeing all the different courts. I loved seeing the Dragon Court. Vampire Court is depressing, but you know, it's there. But we get to meet Izzy, who is another character I really, really love. I think even in the reading vlog where I was reading this, or one of them anyway, I said something like, you know, is she crazy? Has she killed a lot of people? Probably, but I love her. And I stand by that now that I'm reading the spinoff series that she's in. Like, is she still kind of crazy? Probably, but that's okay. That's okay. So yeah, I really, really loved this one. It was so stressful to read the ending of this one. And again, I was like at a point where I'm like, how, like, if we're doing all this now, what are these other two books about? Like, what's going on? But I actually really kind of liked the way that this is not a point A to point B series. It's like so up and down. Like where you start in book one, you never think this is where you're going to end up, and I really, really like that. It takes so many turns, but not in a jarring way. I mean, it's kind of jarring, but like purposefully. Like it's supposed to be jarring because, you know, Grace is having a horrible time. Next, Charm. You know, for that other 4 books, when I kept saying, well, I guess of the 3 books, for 2, 3, and 4, when I kept saying, you know, I wish they would just say what happened to Grace in those 4 months. And there is a time period of 4 months where Grace is in stone and she doesn't remember those months. And I was like, I wish they would just tell me. Now I kind of wish that I didn't say that. I wish I didn't know, because it's heartbreaking. And then what's even more heartbreaking is the fact that this entire book happens in those 4 months. Wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey, as they say. And then to come back and like, that's why I almost like want to reread, but also I'm not ready for that, to catch on those hints, because for Grace to wake up and not remember any of it, but for Hudson to remember it, is just literally the worst. It's the worst. It breaks my heart in every way imaginable. This one is so different than the other books, but it almost, like, I almost want to say it's my favorite, but I don't know. But I love the world they're in. I love the Shadow Realm. I love the purple people. I think they're cool and they're fun. I love the queen, even if she's a little bit crazy, a little bit evil. That's okay. I love all the characters. The villain, who's like, yeah, he's a villain, he's done a lot of horrible things, but he's got this reasoning for it that I'm like, okay, kind of valid, a little bit, not entirely. But like the friends they make along the way, the emotional like relationship that they have, the time even spent in Hudson's lair is so fun to read. It just, everything is so good. This book was so good. I love this one. And just the discussions around like Grace letting go of her old life and accepting her new life because she doesn't know what the future is to bring is just so good. I adore this book. When I think about it, I cry. So lastly, in the series, I read Cherish. This is just a really, really long reading wrap-up of me absolutely raving about Tracy Wolff, and I'm not sorry, because Cherish I also loved. I sat down and I was like, oh, I'm gonna read some of this tonight. I had to stay up late to flip my schedule back to night shift. I work night shift. And then I read the whole thing. I read all 500 and whatever pages in one sitting because I'm crazy. And look at this cover. It is just the most beautiful, beautiful cover. Anyway, yeah, I just couldn't stop. I just kept going and I just read the whole thing. It is nothing like what I expected. And then this is the only one that I think has a teeny tiny bit of critique in that I wish it was longer. For being the finale, it is the shortest book of this series, and I think it should be the longest. That might just be selfish, that I just want more. But I also think it comes from a specific reason. I think that there is a lot more to be told in the story, but I think it has to come from not Grace or Hudson. Oh, that's the other thing. The book, this one's switching perspectives with Grace and Hudson. Loved. I wish they all had that because it was genius in this one. Anyway, this book broke me on so many levels. But I loved the final war. I loved the final like quest we were going on, the characters we met along the way. The bear scene, don't get me started. I was so freaking stressed the entire time. I didn't even talk about the trials in court. The trials and the bugs and all of that. Oh my god. This one was really good. It was really stressful. It wrapped up the end. It did. But there's still clearly more to be done. I hope Jackson and Flint have more to be told. Macy has to have more. She's left off with like a really kind of bad, not a bad ending, but she's got a lot to sort through. Jackson and Flint. Remy is left actually quite poorly at the end of this book, and I would like for that to be addressed, please. I'm reading Sweet Nightmare, which is the spin-off series in which Remy is a character. I'm just unsure of the timeline. I'm not sure if the Remy in Sweet Nightmare is before or after, during, whatever, this book. But I'm only 100 pages into that, so I don't know yet. Anyway, but yeah, loved this one. It was crazy. And then I also would really like more of the Shadow Princess, whose name I can't remember, and Melky. I don't know how to say his name, and I always mix up the letters. But I need more of that too. I just need more of a lot of things. And Izzy, but she's also in the Calder Academy book. So that's actually a really long wrap up considering I only read 7 books. But I really, 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 really loved this series. And I think it's been a really long time. We're gonna get retrospective now. Reflective is probably a better word. It's been a really long time since I've loved a fantasy series so much. Off the top of my head, the last one I really felt this passionate about and read the whole series like this was A Curse so Dark and Lonely by Bridget Kemmerer, and that was 2 years ago. I've just not felt that passionate about fantasy in a long time. But I read Carry On the month before this, and then I was like, okay, well, I really need something else because I loved Carry On. And I did say Carry On was my best book of the year. Carry On is still probably my best series of the year, and this is like a very, very, very close second. And honestly, I couldn't even tell. They might be tied. But then I read these, and I just love it. And I'm hoping and I'm feeling that this like love for fantasy is going to continue. I'm not going to completely give up on fantasy again. need to find more in this realm. Like, I want fantasy books that are fun, and it's not that they're not emotional, that they're not high stakes. I just want fantasy that is not depressing, and it's not just all political warfare and boring and blah blah blah. Like, there are certain series that I at this point probably just need to, you know, take off my shelf, that are ones I'm never going to read, that kind of fall under that category, like the very heavy fantasy portion of it. Like, I want all the fantasy and I want all of the drama, but I just want it to be like a little less serious. Like, I just want everyone to be a little more chill. And we can still fight great wars and have great battles, but like, can we make a joke every once in a while? That's where I'm at. That's the kind of fantasy I want. And I think Crave does that incredibly well. Carry On did that incredibly well. I don't know what other series does that well. ACOTAR doesn't really make any jokes, but I love that for being ACOTAR. I was trying to like look at my shelf. Vampire Academy does that really well, and I might read Bloodlines soon. I don't know. I can't decide. I don't know what I'm going to read next. After I read Sweet Nightmare, I have no idea what I'm going to read. Something. I just don't know what. Definitely, I want a fantasy. I just have to decide. And I would like a long fantasy series again. I just don't have many long fantasy series on my shelves that I haven't read already. Like Cinder, I've already read. Renegades, I've already read. ACOTAR, I've already read. Throne of Glass, I'm not going to read it right now. I have the third Crescent City. That's another good one that makes jokes. Crescent City is good at that. But yeah, I don't know. This was an incredibly long one-take wrap-up for not that many books, but at least I found out my new batteries work, so that's good. I hope you enjoyed. Like, share, subscribe. I am trying to upload more frequently because I just feel like I have a lot to say about books, and no one really to talk to them about, so you guys are stuck with me. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye!